Keli ata v'yoydeka Eloi kai haroi mimeka 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 Keli ata v'yoydeka Eloi kai Chabad, we always sang it Keliata.
No, if you say whole person,
You could, I know we always sang it that way with Keliata, but the Rebbe. We always sang it, I'm saying, you could, yeah. It's not, I'm saying about the Mapah Mamish.
I was saying that there's somebody correct me.
To say a whole pasuk, you could say Hashem's name, but you're not singing, you're singing it over and over again, repeating it. Keliata v'deka.
You can't make it, that's it. The whole person.
Yeah, okay. I'm saying that Lapoil, but when we sang it by the Rebbe, we didn't sing it with the pasuk. So Ma'aser Rav is always the biggest. Plain water.
Seltzer.
Better water, plain water. Yeah.
From the sink, I have.
Fine. Conjunctive. Tonight we're celebrating Chai Elul. Chai Elul is the birthday of the Shnei HaMa'idus HaGedolim, the two great luminaries, the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe. Baal Shem Tov was born in the year of Nachas and the Alter Rebbe in the year of Kahos. By Chassidim we say that on Chai Elul, what happened Chai Elul, what makes Chai Elul so special? Chai Elul gives a chayis, a new excitement, a new energy, a new vitality into the month of Elul, into the Avodah of Tshuva. And furthermore, Chai Elul gives a chayis in the Avodah of Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. That I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me, which we know is the Rosh Tevis of the word Elul. And furthermore, that from now to Rosh Hashanah we have 12 days. Yom Lachodesh, which means that from now we begin to make a din v'cheshbon every day. We make a reckoning for 1 month of the year. So Chai Elul was yesterday, practically, for practical purposes. So yesterday we start to make a cheshbon of the month of Tishrei last year and the Tishrei of this year. Today, Yutes Elul, we make a cheshbon of cheshbon. Tomorrow you make Chaf, which is Chaf, you make the cheshbon of Kislev. In other words, the first day you think about where I daven last Rosh Hashanah. Was I davening good? Did I pay for my seats? Do I still owe money to the shul? Did I buy a seat for this coming Rosh Hashanah, etc., etc.? Did I put enough honey on my apple? Did I respect my honey, my children, my wife, my family? All of these things are din v'cheshbon we have to think about when we think about the month of Tishrei. And the same is true for every day from now until Rosh Hashanah. The Rebbe says that Chai Elul, in short, is really Elul Shebe Elul. The month of Elul is a month of Tshuva in general. Chai Elul is the Elul of the Elul. And just to elaborate on this detail of Elul Shebe Elul, perhaps we can understand this in a story that goes like this. I happened to see it on one of the Gem films, and it made a big reishim on me. I've been saying the story over very often over the last few months. It was during a Machan Yisrael fund gathering. In other words, there were Gevirim that used to give money to the Rebbe, and they would get together once or twice a year, and they made some sort of a resolution to give X amount of money, let's say for 5 years. And the Rebbe would talk to them, and after that they had the opportunity to come by the Rebbe for a few short moments and talk to the Rebbe. So this person, this fellow, goes by the Rebbe, and they begin to muffle his words. You don't hear what he's saying. But you see that the person, he's full of consternation, he's full of anxiety, he's full of pain. And he tells the Rebbe all these problems. And I'm going to paraphrase the Rebbe, because the Rebbe was short, to the point. But the Rebbe told him like this: you have to realize that God is concerned with 5 billion people in the world. This was in the 1980s. Now already, they say there are almost 7 billion people in the world. And God takes care of every single one of their needs. Surely Hashem is concerned about the chosen people. And He will take care of the needs of the chosen people, of every single Yid, every single one of us. And then the Rebbe used a terminology that I don't believe I heard before. And he said, surely Hashem will take care of you, for you are the chosen of the chosen. And the Rebbe began to elaborate, seeing that perhaps the man did not understand what the Rebbe was saying. And he said, you are a person who you support your community. You support the Jewish people. If you support the Jewish people, then you are the chosen of the chosen. You have to know that Hashem, God, will take care of you. He will provide for you. He's concerned about your needs, and therefore you have to have peace of mind. You have to have tranquility in your life. You can't be in a state of panic. Chosen of the chosen. Chai Elul is a day that is the chosen of the chosen. It is the Elul of Elul. And we have to ask ourselves, on Chai Elul, are we not only the chosen, but are we the chosen of the chosen? You have Klal Yisrael and then you have Chassidim. A Chassid is the chosen of the chosen. And surely if you use out your talents to help a Nachayid, like the Baal Shem Tov wanted of Avish Yisrael, surely we're the chosen of the chosen, and therefore Hashem will definitely provide for our needs and make sure that we have a Ksiv Chsim Tova Shon Tova Musukah. And that's why I like to begin Rebbe Farbrengen with the teaching of the Alter Rebbe. And the Rebbe would say this many times, that the Alter Rebbe taught the power of a Farbrengen is so great that afilu Malach Mochel ken shufton. That the power of Farbrengen is so great, even greater than Malach Mochel. So the Rebbe once asked, why do we have to mix a Malach Mochel? There are so many Malachim, Mochel and Gavriel, Nuriel, etc., etc. We have to mix a Malach Mochel. What's his fault over here? That Farbrengen is even bigger than Malach Mochel. So the Rebbe once said that the gematria of Mochel is 101, 101. I know a lot of Svadim like to write checks for 101, 101. There's in you to have Tkiyas, 101 Tkiyas in Rosh Hashanah. What's 101? So the Rebbe said, Pashtus, 100 is perfection. You have 10 midis, 10 times 10 is 100. When a Yid is 100, he's perfect. Meya brachas, yeah. What is 101? 101 is Ein Sof. 101 means beyond 100, beyond perfection. That's infinity. The power of a Farbrengen is Pashut Ein Sof, infinity. Beyond Malach Machal. Malach Machal is infinity, and the Farbrengen is even bigger than Malach Machal, the chosen of the chosen. Elul of Elul. And therefore it's important when you start a Farbrengen not to forget that you should say L'chaim, and you should have in mind those people who need a for Shalema, and those who need a Shidduch, and those who need Parnasa, and Bondei, and Chayi, and Mezoni, all these good things. Because this is one of the main reasons that we have a Farbrengen, to get together, and to wish each other all the brachas. So again, to wish everybody Bondei, and Chayi, Mezoni, and Revichi, Kula Revichi, in a big way. And I'd like to say that I tell my congregation we have only one sin. We talk and say al-chet for all the oisius of the Aleph Beis, but in truth we only have one Aveda, one sin. You know what the sin is? The sin is we think too small. That's our sin. Eibishter, I should have parnasa to pay my bills. That's an Aveda. If you're already asking the Eibishter for parnasa, why can't you ask for $1 billion? It's an Aveda. You're already wasting words. Pashut Dvarim B'Teilim.
And you do chesed with the extra.
And of course, there's a famous story of a Gevir who once went to the Rebbe, and he was a very, very wealthy guy, and he told the Rebbe, I'm ready to retire. I worked very hard all my life, and now I want to go to Kollel and study all day. The Rebbe said to him, tell me something. You now run a mosid, you support a yeshiva of over 2,000 bachrim, 2,000 children. Do you think your limit Torah, your study of Torah, is more important than these 2,000 children learning Torah? What you should do is, we'll get the Rosh Hashiva to come to your house in the morning, you'll learn an hour with him in the morning, you'll be Moshe Torah at night, he'll learn with you another hour at night. It's good to have a good chavrusa. Saves time, he knows all the answers, you're able to accomplish much more. Hasei l'charav is important, and you got to pay for a good coach, for a good study partner. However, you'll work the rest of the day, and you'll make parnasa, and you'll support the yeshiva. And the same is true with health, and the same is true with all these things. We have to ask for the Eibusha big things. The Eibusha can do it, he can provide for it. For him, $1 and $1 million or $1 billion is el bazach. It's a few more zeros. Zeros are nothing, it's garnish, efes. Nacha zero. So l'chaim, we should start thinking big. We should learn big, and daven big, and give tzedakah in a big way. And we should make big kelim for the Eibusha's brachas. L'chaim. Ay 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 la da la da 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 ay la da 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 yo yo ay la da 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 ay la da 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 ay la da 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 ay la da 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 ya 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 no malkeino ein la nu melech ein la nu melech elawata Avinu malkeinu ein la nu melech ein la nu melech elawata ya mama hay la da 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 ma ya da 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 ya la da 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 ha ya ya da ya la da 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 ha la da 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 ya ya la da da Hey la da 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 ya yo inai Avinu Malkeinu Hein lanu melech Hein lanu melech Helawata Avinu Malkeinu Hein lanu melech Hein lanu melech Helawata Ya mama Hay la da ya da 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 ya da ya da ya da da mo ya na na mo ya na ya na hay la da mo yo yo ya. There's a story that they tell about Rabbi Melech of Melizhinsk, the famous Noam Elimelech. A woman once came to him and said to him, Rebbe, I'm an aguna. My husband disappeared. I don't know where he is. He left me alone in the house with the children. What should I do? The Heilige Rabbi Elimelech took out a piece of paper and a pen, and he wrote a few lines on the piece of paper, and he gave it to his misharis, his assistant. He said, go to the house at the end of the town. There, in that house at the end of the town, there's a haunted house. A house with shindalids, with demons. I want you to knock on the door and give this piece of paper to the gatekeeper, and he'll know what to do with it. So the Misharis goes to the end of the town. The whole town has a nice sunny day. He comes to the end of the town. There's a little house over there all broken down, and there's clouds over it, and it's dark. And he knocks on the door, and the gatekeeper opens the door and says, how could I help you? He says, I have a letter from Rabbi Elimelech of Melizhinsk. He says, okay, we'll look at it. He takes it in. The door is opened, so he listens to what's going on, and he hears screaming back and forth. Who does this guy, Rabbi Elimelech, think he is to tell us what to do? We have our own rights. We can do what we want. We're not going to be pushed around like this. Who does he think we are? And it was going back and forth, a dialect. And finally, they said, well, if the Rebbe wants, we have to follow. And a few moments later, a guy came flying out the front door onto the grass. The Misharis realized this must be the husband of this woman, and he picked him up by the collar, put him into his carriage, and brought him to his house. The man's face was black from top to bottom. He had hair down to his piatis. His nails were curled. He had no idea where he was, which world. He bathed him, he cut his hair, he cut his nails, he fed him, nurtured him back to health. And finally, when the man was coming back to himself and was able to speak and have a coherent conversation, so the Misharis said, tell me what happened. What happened in that house? He says, look, half the things I don't remember, and the other half I don't want to tell you. All I can tell you is that these demons terrorized me day and night. They tortured me, they pained me, they demonized me, and they brought me tremendous tzad and pain. But one thing I could tell you, one thing I will tell you is that from the first day of the month of Elul until after Yom Kippur, for those 40 days, they had no power over me. They couldn't do anything to me. And I was able to be let alone. This was the story. Lepoili gave his wife a get, v'chulu, and she remarried, and she lived happily ever after. What's the message of the story? The Nukuda is that each and every one of us, in our minds, in our hearts, we have a demon. We have a shindalid. Some have mental abuse, and some have physical abuse, and some have emotional abuse. And some still can't find themselves. They don't know if they're coming or going. We have issues. Comes along the month of Elul, we have to do tshuva. How can I do tshuva? I have this issue, I have that issue. Comes along our rabbis and say, you got to blow shofar. You blow shofar from day one of Elul. All the demons are put to rest. Now you have time to have clarity. You have time to look into yourself for introspection. You have time to make achlotas tovis. You have no excuses. I can't. I'm too busy. I can't concentrate. Have all of these demons. The month of Elul, the demons have no power over you. And therefore it's very important to sit down for 5 minutes and take a piece of paper and take a pen and write down things that perhaps you didn't do last year that you should have done, or things that you started but you didn't finish. And finish up these things in the month of Elul. I heard a beautiful story from one of my teachers. I haven't found a makor for it, but the story is a gewaltige story. They once asked the Frierdiker Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, what does a Rebbe do in the month of Elul? A tzaddik, befrat a tzaddik gomor, a nasi b'Yisrael who's perfect. What does he have to do in Elul? An average Jew, we got to do tshuva. We made a mistake, Mustama, once or twice during the year. But a Rebbe doesn't make mistakes. Just as a sidebar, we know that the idea of Elul is not only for tshuva, for making mistakes. Chassidus says tshuva is veruch tashuv elikim hashanasana, which means to return to a higher place and to go higher and higher. Doesn't mean you have to make a mistake to do tshuva. Tshuva means coming home, returning to God. But this was the question he posed to the Frierdiker Rebbe. And the Frierdiker Rebbe answered as follows. He said, throughout the years, people come to me, they ask me for a bracha for children, I give them a bracha for children. They ask for health, I give them a bracha for health. They come to me, a bracha for parnasa, I give them a bracha for parnasa. Comes along the month of Elul, I think through all of these brachas I gave out through the past year, and I ask myself, were they fulfilled? The person I promised to have a child, did he have a child? The person that I promised him for health, is he gesund? The person I promised parnasa, does he have the money to pay the bills? And if not, I make sure to do tshuva that all those brachas should be mekoyim. So the month of Elul is a month of bracha. It's a time of opportunity. And we also have to ask ourselves, what pledges did we make to ourselves and to our family and to our community? Have we fulfilled these pledges?
Who's greater, the tzaddik or Baal Tshuva? Became Baal Tshuva or tzaddik?
Who?
Who's greater?
What's greater? We'll soon talk about it. There's a famous story that I'm sure you all know, but being that it's Chai Elul, Farbrengen for Chai Elul, so just like you read the Parsha every year, the same Parsha, but every time you hear it, you have new insights and new inspiration. So Chassidus Shemaisa, you could always say over. It's a very famous story, but the lesson is a very powerful lesson. We know that when the Alter Rebbe was arrested and he was in prison, so at that time the captain of the prison saw that the Alter Rebbe wasn't the average prisoner. It's a heilige yid mit a bird and with a heilige shine, etc., etc. So the captain, the Rebbe said, the captain was a goy, but he knew the entire Tanakh, and he knew all the Mefarshim, he knew the commentaries on the 24 books of the prophets. He was a very learned goy, a very serious goy. He goes over to the Alter Rebbe and he says, I have a question for you, Rabbi. Can you help me? He says, sure. How can I help you? He says, it says in the Torah that after Adam sinned by eating from the forbidden fruit, so God turned to Adam and he said, Adam Ayeka, where are you? Doesn't God know everything? God had to ask Adam, Ayeka, where are you? He doesn't know where he is. So the Rebbe said, yeah, it's a good question. And already the famous logician on the Torah, Rashi, the French commentator, gives a beautiful insight. And Rashi says that God did not want to scare Adam. And just to paraphrase, you have a kid in the house, a little boy, he's eating his Cheerios in the morning, and he turns over the whole plate, it goes on the floor. The whole house is filled with milk and cereal. He's embarrassed. He hides under the table. His mother says, Yankele, Ayeka, where are you? The mother doesn't know where Yankele is. She knows Yankele is under the table. So why is she saying, where are you? She wants the baby and the boy to come out and say, Ma, I'm sorry, I spilled the Cheerios, forgive me. So the Eibishter said the same thing, Ayeka. He didn't want to scare Adam, he wanted Adam to be moide, to say, Eibishter, I ate from the forbidden fruit. I'm sorry. The captain told Alter Rebbe, yeah, I know that answer. I'm looking for something a little deeper. So it says that Alter Rebbe put his head into his holy hands, and he thought for a moment, and he said the following answer. He said, do you believe that Torah is eternal? And the captain said, yes. Do you believe that Torah speaks to every human being? The captain said, yes. He said, if that is the case, you should know that God is telling you, Adam Elyon, every human being is created in the image of God. For example, a man who was 62 years old, which was the exact age of this captain, this guy, God is turning to you and saying, Ayeka, where are you? What have you accomplished? Your soul came down to the world to accomplish something. Have you accomplished your mission on this earth? That was the answer that Alter Rebbe told this captain, this goy. And this story has been recorded in the Sikhs of the Fidige Rebbe and our Rebbe. And this is a lesson for each and every one of us. Every morning you get up in the morning, the first thing you say is not good morning dear to your spouse. It's not even good morning to your baby, to your children. The first thing you're supposed to do, it says in Sefer HaSicha, you're supposed to put your hands together like this. And you say, Moida ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayim shechzarta bi nishmasi b'chem l'rabba v'nesacha. You lower your head and you acknowledge HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We thank Hashem for returning our soul, our neshama. That's the first thing. Then you wash negovasa right near your bed. You're not supposed to walk dalet amis without washing negovasa. If you walk 4 amis without washing negovasa, your whole body becomes tummy.
They have
So you have to have a shissel next to your bed to wash negovasa. And if you don't have one, that should be achlota for chayel. It's only $5. You have a washing basin with a kois and everything, plastic. Huh?
The whole entire house,
That's already got Kabbalah already, ganze Sache. You don't need a yarmulke because the roof is a yarmulke, and you don't need tzitzis because you have gefilte fish on Shabbos. All these things are very nice. The Poel Mamish, a Chosid, puts the negavasa near his bed. You don't have to put on Tefillin because your wife lights the Shabbos candles, and you don't have to learn because you have a bookshelf with Svarim. Alles is good. The Poel, Dalet Ames is Dalet Ames. And you wash negavasa, and you have to ask yourself the first question in the morning, Ayeka, why am I here? What am I supposed to do? Why am I here in this world? There's a famous teaching in Pirkei Avos, who was greater, Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkaniz, Rabbi Eliezer ben Aruch. One Tana says if you put one on the scale and all the other Tanoim, he'll outweigh them. The other one says if you put him plus everybody else on the scale, he'll outweigh them. What's going on over here? And there's a word that the commentaries explain, and the Rebbe also brings this down, that we have to realize that every single Yid, every single Jew has a unique talent. Every single Yid has a unique potential. that nobody else in the world has. And if you are able to access that potential, if you are able to actualize that koyach, that talent, machriyas kol ha'olam, you have the ability to outweigh everybody in the world. Many years ago, there was a scientist that did a study on snowflakes. And he came to the conclusion that there are no two snowflakes alike. Every snowflake is unique. Now think about it. If the Eibishter makes sure that no two snowflakes are alike, how much more so no two human beings are alike, and how much more so a Yid who's atabachatonim mikol amim, that each one of us is unique. Unique means that we're special. Unique means that we have a koyach to change the whole world. The famous question in the Gemara, Haka, when Hashem created the fish, he created an entire family of fish. Haka, when he created the birds, he created an entire family of birds. All of a sudden he creates Adam, he only creates one person. He could have created a whole family, a whole Raskin family, a whole Hech family, a Goldstein family, a Berkovich family, or he could have created like a sect of Satmar, a sect of Chabad. He could have created, different Chassidim, at least a sect.
There's no Chassid that time.
There's Chassid, no way. Adam was a Chassid. The Gemara says Adam Chassid Hoya. There were Chassidim before even doctors, don't worry, and before lawyers. So the shaila is, why does he create Adam alone? The answer is to teach us that one person can change the whole world. One person can change the whole world. And the emes is, each one of us has that koyach today. And we can still access that koyach, that potential. And that's the ayaka. Chaya Elul the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe told us ayaka. It means every single day, Adam el Elyon, we are created in the image of Hashem. We have to ask ourselves, ayaka, where are we? What are we doing? It's not too late. I tell my congregants, Rabbi Kiva was 40 years old before he began to read. I used to tell him that 25 years ago. Now already they're older than 40. Then they were before 40. I got to change my story now. But the Nukuda over here is that it's never too late. Each one of us has this koyach. The Baal Shem Tov tells us that the love that the Eibishter has for every Yid is a love like a ben yochid, like an only child. Not only like an only child, but an only child that was born to a parent at a very old age. And the Eibishter's love to every Yid is even more than that. If you think about it for a moment, Sarah and Avram, Sarah was 90 years old when she had her first child. When did she get married? How old was she when she got married? It's brought down in Svarim. She was 15 years old. Yeah. Sefer Aderes. She was 15 years old. So from 15 to 90, for 75 years, 3 times a day, she's davening every day for a child. She finally gets this baby that she's asking for 75 years. She didn't give up. We daven 3 weeks already. Elul, I daven a whole month, nothing happened. Keep on davening. Don't give up so fast. Started davening 75 years, didn't give up. And finally she was answered. Can you imagine the love that Sarah had for Yitzchak? And Avram Avinu was 100 years old, and his love that he had for Yitzchak. Multiply this by 1,000,000. Multiply this by 1,000,000,000. Multiply this by 10 billion. Why? Because the Eibishter is Ein Sof. The Eibishter is infinite. So the love that the Eibishter has for us is an infinite love. Every single one of us is like God's only child. Can you imagine how much the Eibishter loves you? If the Eibishter loves you, you have to love him back a little bit. Number one, you have to realize that he hears you. And you have to realize that if you have a problem, you got to talk to him. I don't walk, you see all these joggers that are talking while they're running. They have these phones. Yeah. I also talk while I walk. I don't have those phones. I talk to the Eibishter in the street.
You're allowed to listen to the headphones?
Am I allowed to what?
In the street.
Are you allowed to have it? Yeah. Ask your local rabbi. So you have to realize, my president of my shul has a cousin, and Nebuch, she was in the hospital, she was very sick, and she's waiting for someone to come into her to do a prayer. A rabbi comes into her. She's a totally secular woman. She says, Rabbi, I'm sick, can you do a prayer? She says, I'm sorry, I can't do any prayers for you. She says, why not? She says, well, today is Tuesday. I can't do a Mishabeach till Thursday. She says, Rabbi, till Thursday I could drop dead. I don't know what to tell you. I can't do a Mishabeach till Thursday. A minute later, a Protestant minister walks in. Father, can you do a prayer? Sure, no problem. Takes out a book, starts reading the Old Testament, the New Testament, sprinkles some water on her, and she gets all well and healthy, and she converts and becomes a Protestant. Baruch Hashem, years later she had a kid who became a Lubavitcher. Okay, so it came back. But the point of the story is, you don't have to wait till Thursday to do a Mishaberach. You don't have to wait till Mincha to daven and ask the Eibishter. You don't have to wait till tomorrow morning, Shachris, after Slach Lono Vinu, to ask for the Feinu. 24/7, Hashem is here. And you have to realize you have a personal relationship with Him. And this concept is underscored the month of Elul. The month of Elul, the Alter Rebbe tells us, is Melech Basada. The king is in the field. What's the pshat? Normally, if you want to see a king, you have to make a meeting, and you have to be a minister, and you have to have a lot of power, and maybe you'll get it. However, in the month of Elul, is Melech Basada. The king is in the field. And therefore, everybody can go to the king, and you can meet the king and talk to the king, meet and greet. And he's there, Mare, he's showing a beautiful face, and Panav Sochakois, a smiley face. And he's happy to show his countenance to you and do what you want. All you have to do is leave your basement and leave your internet and leave your iPhone and put on your shoes and socks and get outside and talk to him. That's all you have to do. But the Melech is beside. The Rebbe once, talking to a children's rally, he said, if the king is in the field, how come we don't see him? Where is he? The Melech is beside. I don't see him. So the Rebbe said, can you imagine what kind of melech we have? He's such a melech, you can't even see him. If it would be a melech basavidam, a limited melech, then you could see him. This melech is a melech malchei amlochem HaKadosh Baruch. The Eibishter's Ein Sof is unlimited. If you could see him, he's not the Eibishter. If you could see him, then he's not infinite. So can you imagine what kind of a melech is now basada? And this melech, the Rebbe says, in reality, is not stam, efsher, but derech efsher, v'yesh loimar. It's a reality. You don't see it, it's your problem. The fact is, he's there, and he's waiting for you to come and talk to him. Each one of us has to realize that we have a personal relationship with Hashem.
How come the thousand people can talk at the same time?
Huh?
The thousand people can talk at the same time?
Yeah, no problem. Hashem has more than one ear. He listens to more than one person at a time. So this is the pshat. Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. The month of Elul, I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. A yid has to know that the Eibishter is doidi, my beloved, and you have to push and love the Eibishter. The Rebbe asked in Tavshim Mem Ches a beautiful shaila. He says, how come in the Shulchan Aruch you don't find in the month of Elul there should be any dinim for the month of Elul? There's no dinim. There's minhagim. There's a minig to blow shofar. There's a minig to say the davar shamayri. There's a minig to check your tefillin. There's a minig to wish each other ksivach simtov. There's a minig. All these are minhagim. There's no such thing v'yesh din or chiyuv or a mitzvah. Chacham couldn't find a mitzvah to do in the whole month of Elul. So the Rebbe says the answer is, we know that a minig is greater than a mitzvah. If you have a mitzvah, you have to eat matzah. You have a mitzvah, you have to be happy on the Yom Tovim. It's a mitzvah. The moment someone tells you have to do something, the moment you say, I don't want to do it, you have to be happy. I'm going to be sad now. You're going to tell me what to do. That's why the Jews in Russia were so prosperous, because they told him, you can't be Jewish. He said, aha, you're going to tell me what to do? I'll be Jewish. I can't put on tefillin. I'll go into the basement. I'll put on tefillin. In America, you could put on tefillin. Aha, I could put on tefillin. I don't want to put on tefillin. You can't tell me what to do. So you have a mitzvah. A mitzvah, the Rebbe tells us we have to do. So if we have Kabbalah, so we do it. If not, we don't. Then you have a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. Like, for example, Purim. It's a very big simcha. It's our holiday. It's our mitzvah. Hanukkah is our holiday. We created the mitzvah, not the Eibishter. It's our mitzvah. It's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. In other words, the Jews created that mitzvah, but it's still a mitzvah, and therefore there's still a limitation. Kam Simchas Torah, you see, Beligvul. Anyone who lived in Crown Heights over the years when the Rebbe was there, Big Ashmis, knows that there was nothing. Misha loyra simcha zu loyra simcha miyamav. Simchas Torah was Beligvul. Why? Because Simchas Torah is only a minig. There's no mitzvah to dance with the Torah and Simchas Torah. There's no mitzvah d'Rabbanan. It's mamish a minig. A minig is the highest level. It's a level that you can't put into a box. You cannot articulate it because it's so high. It's like a nekuda in a Sefer Torah. No nekudas in a Sefer Torah. Why? It's beyond ink on parchment. A Kabbalah, the oisius are bodies, and the nekudas are souls. You don't see the souls, you only see the bodies. And the same is true of minig, but your soul is a very high level. So comes the month of Elul. It's Ani l'doidi, v'doidi li. I am to my beloved, my beloved is to me. It's to the etzem of the melech. It's the essence of the king. It's not the king in his garment, in his castle with his crown. The king is walking around with overalls, sneakers, Nike sneakers, dungarees, jeans. But you know what? We don't need all the fancy surroundings. We have the king himself, the etzem, the essence of the king. And because you have the essence, it's beyond the mitzvah. It's a minig Yisrael. And this is the achana to Rosh Hashanah. It has to be out of love. People think tshuva is all about fear and about pain and suffering, etc., etc. It's enough already. Enough Jewish guilt. It has nothing to do with that. On the contrary, it's anila doidi. It's about love. So l'chaim, we got to start loving another yid. We should love ourselves and love the Eibishter. And we should take out the ksiv teva, shom teva m'sokol. L'chaim. Oy ve'yaneinu ragamotnam Neilani oy ve'yaneinu Liva yaneinu ragama hey yanei liva yaneinu ragama no de yanei lani hey yaneinu ragama no de yanei lani Hey ve'yaneinu. Good to see you. Sit over here. Sit over here. Ve'yaneinu, yaneinu, ragmano di yanei liba. Yaneinu, ragmano di yanei lani yoy ve'yaneinu, ragmano di yanei lani yoy ve'yaneinu, ragmano di yanei liba. Yaneinu, Hamano di yanei liba. Yaneinu, ragamano di yanei lani.
Why they have you forget about the
Huh?
A person sometimes he doesn't feel good, he forget about the everything. What?
If you don't feel good, you have to first remember the Eibishter. If you don't feel good, you have to surely remember the Eibishter. You have to ask him for a full shlema.
He cannot think about it.
Okay, you have to be gesund. L'chaim, l'chaim. Be gesund. You should think about the Eibishter.
What's the answer?
Let him finish the shir.
Someone just asked, when a person is sick, it's hard for him to think about the Eibishter because he's so sick. So the truth of the matter is, that's what the Rambam says, you have to be gesund. The Yid has to take care of himself and be gesund. So we'll have the ability to serve Hashem. But I heard a story that they say Yisrael Duchman once went to the Rebbe and told the Rebbe, Rebbe, trach wegen my Yossi. Think about my son Yossi. So the Rebbe said, Halvai soll trachten wegen mir, wie viel trach wegen him. If only you should think about me as much as I think about him. So even if you don't think about the Eibishter is thinking about you. That you should know. So Chai Elul, as we said earlier, is the birthday of the Shnei HaMeis HaGedolim, the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe. It's a famous Hayom Yom of the Rebbe and Chai Elul that he brings down from his father-in-law, the Frierdiker Rebbe, that the Rebbe Rashab on Parshas Tovoi in the year 1892 had an outer body experience. His neshama left his body, so to speak, and he went up to Gan Eden, and there the Baal Shem Tov delivered 7 teachings on that Shabbos. And he came down after Shabbos and he recorded these 7 teachings. 2 of those 7 teachings, which the Rebbe quotes in Hayom Yom for Chai Elul, is a teaching of Ahaya Kisavay Ala Aretz. When you'll come into the land, what does Aretz mean? Aretz means a place where you run. The word Eretz, the root of Eretz, means Ratz Umurutza. To have a desire, to have a ratzon, to do the will of Hashem. That Hashem will give you this matana as a Yerusha. Then the Samta Batena, you should put it into a basket. Not only should you have the ratzon in a very superficial way, but you should bring it down in a very physical, down-to-earth way. How do you do this? By saying a bracha and reciting a kapitel Tefillin. Then Hashem will dwell in that place. How do you know what's that place? That's the place where Hashem will lead you to, because over there you have sparks you have to elevate. He said this Torah, the first part of the Torah, he said after Kabbalah Shabbos, and the second part he repeated it again after Ma'ariv, and he added that this is done through Mesiras Nefesh, and that this is a matana milmaila, and this is a gift from the Eibishter. What does that mean? Let's try to analyze it a little bit. One of the biggest problems today that I find with many of the youth is they lack a ratzon, they lack a will. I have kids in my Chabad house, they're going to college. They're 1 year in college, 2 years in college, 3. What are you doing? I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I'll see when I finish what I want to do. I said, when I was 6 years old, I knew what I wanted to do already. You're already 26. You don't know what you want to do. You have time. They have no ruts. There's no ruts. Here we're told, V'hoyak Yisovei Ala Aretz, that the matana that the Eibusha gives every Yid is that we should have a rutzen to do Hashem's will. The similar word of the Alter Rebbe in the Torah, he says, we say, God, you open up your hand and you satiate every living being with what? With ratzon. To have a will, a desire. Sometimes we lose that fire in ourselves to want to do something. You have to daven. You have to pray. Eibusher, give me a ratzon. I don't know what I want to do. So ask for that ratzon. And that is Pesach Chesidecha that we say 3 times a day, because sometimes you have a ratzon in the morning, in the afternoon, that ratzon dies out. You have a ratzon in the afternoon, but tomorrow morning it dies out. Pesach Chesidecha is a very important prayer. You have to kiss your tefillin when you say it. What's so important about it? Because if you have no ratzon, you have no will for anything. And this was the Torah Baal Shem Tov. V'haya chisavay al aretz. You should know that this is a matonimul maila, that this is a gift that Hashem gives every Yid. But the Rebbe expounds that, being that it was Chai Elul, and it was the year 1892, which is 132 years after the Halula of the Baal Shem Tov. Here the Baal Shem Tov now unites Torah Baal Shem Tov with Torah Chabad. Primarily, Torah Baal Shem Tov is Emunah, is faith. That's Ratzon. Torah Chabad is intellect, which is kelim, to make vessels. V'samta batena. You have to put it into a vessel. It's not enough that you have Emunah. As we know that the basic difference between Torah Chabad and other Chassidim is that other Chassidim, it's tzaddik b'emnosai yichayeh. Yichayeh. The tzaddik will make you live. By believing in the tzaddik, then that's enough. I'll do my thing, and I'll go b'shlish li b'elech, what I desire to do, and the tzaddik, v'ratavin. Right? We know many tzaddikim say if you grow a long pace, they'll pull you out of Gehenna. In other words, you'll be in Gehenna, and they'll pull you out. Tzaddik b'emnosai yichayeh. When the Rebbe became Rebbe, one of the first sichos that he said, that is not so popular because nobody wants to talk about it, is the Rebbe said, Red nicht ein kin fegelach im Busen. That's what he said. Don't talk birds in your stomach. By Chabad and Mansech Avodah, you have to work on yourself. It's not tzaddik b'mnosai yichayeh. It's yichya. You believe in the tzaddik will be your coach, he'll help you, he'll inspire you, direct you, give you a bracha. But you have to work. You have davening, you have to learn, you have to do chitas every day, and Rambam, v'chulu. You have to have a Shir Gemara. A Yid has to be a from Yid. Yeah. I know. I said it for you. I said it for you. I said it for you. 100%. No question. There's no question. So this was what the Baal Shem Tov, as the Rebbe said, he tells the Baal Shem Tov, that it's only through first Moichin and the Midas, to bring it down, but then it has to be brought down to Ma'aseh B'Poel by saying a capital Tehillim and saying a bracha and making a reality. In another place, the Rebbe writes that people think to change the world, you have to galvanize, or rather, you have to conquer cities and pulverize mountains. And the Rebbe says it's not true. A bracha with kavanah, before you drink and throw the drink down your mouth, I always tell my kids, say the bracha. Tati, I said the bracha. I said, but I didn't hear the bracha. Oh, I should say it again. I said, say it again, yeah. I didn't hear the bracha, so how can I bracha, you said? Baruch, Ata, I want to say amen after your bracha. It was a nice with the Fidik Rebbe, like that he was a kid, and he said a bracha, and the Rebbe Shab said, I didn't say it again. He said, I can't say it again. I don't want to say Hashem's name for nothing. He said, Hashem made me your father to educate you, to give you chinuch. Now I'm telling you, say the bracha again. And he gave him a little patch. So it was the one time he gave him a patch. And by the way, interesting to note that the Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya, that when a person suffers in this world, it's like a tzaddik and a chacham that gives his son a little smack. So the Fidik Rebbe questions, how come the Alter Rebbe didn't write a tzaddik, a chacham, a chassid, who gives his child a smack? He says, from here you see that a chassid does not smack his child. When I read this, I didn't see it in Tanya, so in lessons in Tanya. So sometimes I skip over the lessons in Tanya, you're just reading the Tanya. I pushed it went cold turkey. I said, okay, I'm not touching my kids ever again. Now, some kids say it was good, I changed my mind, others say it wasn't so good. But the point is, you see that a chassid doesn't hit his children. It's a very important thing. There's a letter from the Rebbe also in the early 1950s that he says, you see today that hitting children is counterproductive. Today it's only through love. It's ani l'doidi v'doidi li. It's about love. It's not about threatening or terrorism or hitting v'chulu v'chulu. It has to be out of love.
What about Choser Shifto Soneh Beno?
So the idea of discipline does not mean you have to hit. You have to discipline. It doesn't say you have to hit your child. It says one who does not have a rod hates his child. My Zayder Rabbi Yankiv Yudehecht Shalom used to say that in his house there was a belt on the wall. And every time he did something wrong, his father used to look at the belt. And he knew to behave himself. You don't have to hit your child. L'chaim, l'chaim. Ha ha ya 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 Masai Gazimar le Jayavozo Maizavozo Kazimar le Jayavozo Mazai Kazimar le Jayavozo ay ay le dai lai ay le dai dim ay le dai ay 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 le dai ay le dai dim ay le dai ma ay 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 Masai Gazimar Chaim, wie das sagt mal? Chaim.
Sie den Mensch doch sparen.
For sure. Hey, Abbas is role and Achas is role.
People ask me, I have a simple question. Any tzaddik that promises to get me out of hell is my man. But Nosson Mike, das geht auf die Welt. Also, kushet zu tzaddikim, kushet zu tzaddikim. Wir leben sie koyach, man lernt sie svarm. Die gehen sie drachen, mit der Ebischen des Sabbat, sie bis eine Reue Pnei gehenem Klall, auf die Welt.
Die Welt.
Rebbe used to say, on Kunzen.
On Kunzen.
Passports.
Ay, Masai Gazimar. Mazai Kazimar le Sheyavutsu Mazai Kazimar le Sheyavutsu ay le dim ay le dim ay hey Masai Gazimar le Jayavodo Mazakavodo ay Masai Gazimar Mazai Kazimar le Jayavodo Mazai Kazimar le Jayavodo Chaim. Besamte Batene. Baal Shem Tov wanted that we have to take the rutzen and put it down into the basket in Ma'aseh B'Poel. And the Rebbe goes on to say that even though the first time he said the Torah, he said it's a matana, which are Yerusha, that you're going to inherit the land. The second time he omitted the word Yerusha and he wrote the word just matana, a gift. Why? Because a Yerusha is something you don't have to work for. You could be a baby 1 day old, you never knew your father, you never met your father, and the father had $1 billion, right? We don't talk less than billions over here. He had $1 billion and he died. Automatically, you get the Yerusha. You don't have to work for it. A matana is something you have to work for. The Gemara says you don't give someone a gift unless you like him. He did something for you, something epis. He did something for you, you may give perhaps more than he deserved. But it still requires action, and therefore it's a matana. This ratzin that Hashem gives us is a matana because we still have to work for it. You have to demand it. You have to have Mesiras Nefesh for it, etc., etc. We spoke earlier that in the month of Elul you don't have any specific mitzvahs and you don't have any specific dinim, but rather you have minhagim. Why? Because a minhag is really higher than a mitzvah. Because it's a month of Ani L'Doidi. I am to my beloved. You have the etzim of the melech is basada. One of the minhagim that the Rebbe would encourage us to do every year, Elul, and these are one of my avuch, one of my passions, and that is to check your Tefillin and mezuzahs every year in the month of Elul. The Rebbe would quote the Matefrayim, etc., etc., that every year you should check your Tefillin and mezuzahs. Whenever I meet people, I try to encourage them, especially rabbis. I had a rabbi from Israel who came to me. He visits me once a year. He says to me, last year you asked me to be mefarsim to my balabatim to check the Tefillin and mezuzahs. Rav from a very religious community came back to tell me that 5 people in my community checked their tefillin and they were puzzled. It's a very important thing. We have to check our tefillin to make sure it's kosher, and even the ritzuas have to be kosher. I had a story that I heard the Chassidus Yid, a very famous Lubavitcher, I'm not going to mention his name. About 18 years ago he was diagnosed with Yena Machla. And he went to the doctors, and the doctors looked at his x-rays, and he said, well, based on your x-rays, basically you have maybe 18 months to live. He said, I don't understand. I say chitas every day, I say Rambam, I say Tefillin, Shabbos and Vorchim, I go to the oil, I do everything right, that makes no sense. He went back to the oil, he was standing there, I said Gans Tefillin, I cried. And I was inspired, he says, to check my tefillin again. I checked it already a few times, that year for sure, and after I was diagnosed, Rahman al-Fan, they found nothing. I checked it one more time. I went to another sefer. The sefer opened up my tefillin, he said, your tefillin is perfect, everything is good, there's one problem. Your ritzuas are not so good. It's already fashimbult, it's already broken, it's too thin, you have to change your ritzuas. I changed my ritzuas, he says. As soon as I got off the phone with the sefer, I got a call from the doctor. We opened up your file again, and we see it's not as bad as you say. Come in tomorrow for surgery, and we'll take care of you. That was 18 years ago. And Baruch Hashem, we're still alive today. Why? Because of the ritzuas. It's very important. You have to check your tefillin, and you have to go to a sefer muvak, a sefer knows what he's doing, etc., etc.
What's the muvak?
A qualified sefer, someone who's a Yiras Shamayim. On that note, I in downtown Brooklyn,
Twice in 7 years.
the Rebbe said every year, and he brought them from Matefrayim. Every year, Tefillin and mezuzahs every year. The Rebbe said every year, he said you should mefarsim it, dan befrat and Elul, and this will bring you a etc., etc. So let me tell you a story. I had in downtown Brooklyn, we besides having daily shachris every morning for the community, so when it comes to a fast day, so even though there are like pop-up minyanim in the offices there, so when it comes to a tonis, they need to come to my shul for a sefer Torah to learn. So a guy comes into my shul, there's a big crowd, he says, Rabbi, I want to tell you a story. He says, you should know, I'm not a Lubavitcher, but I want to tell you a story of the Rebbe. I said, really, what's the story? He said, well, the story goes like this. I had a friend who came in from Israel. He wanted to go see the Rebbe for $1 Sunday. I figured, you're going to go, I'll go together with you. So I go online for $. I go by the Rebbe. And I ask a question. I say, Rebbe, give me a bracha of a parnasa. The Rebbe responds, if your tefillin not kosher, you shouldn't have a problem with parnasa. So I realized that maybe the Rebbe wants me to check my tefillin. So I brought my tefillin to a sefer in Borough Park. We opened it up. Everything was fine. He put it back. And I went back the next Sunday to tell the Rebbe that I checked my tefillin and he found nothing. So the Rebbe said, Bezucher a sefer Yiras Shamayim. Are you sure it's a sefer who is God-fearing? So I realized the Rebbe didn't like the sefer. I went to another sefer. I checked it a second time. I went back the third week again for dollars. I said, Rebbe, I checked it again, and he found nothing. So the Rebbe said, Zeh plates is nicht deine. So on their shoulders, not yours. I said to myself, obviously the Rebbe is not too happy with my tefillin. So I went to a big rabbi in Flatbush. He told me the name, a big Rav, a very famous Rav. So what should I do? I went twice to the Rebbe. And obviously he's not happy with my tefillin, but I went to two seifrim and they checked and they said it's okay. So the Rav said, look, even if the Rebbe is a Malach Elikim, steht in Torah, al pi shnayim edim yakum davar. He went to two seifrim, they checked it out, they said it's good, you can rely on them and that's it. He said, yeah, very good. After 120 years, I'm going to go to Shemayim, and they'll say, you didn't put on kosher tefillin all your life. I'll say, well, I have an excuse. Two witnesses checked it out, and they said it was okay, but in the meantime, it's not kosher. The Rebbe would always quote that, Onus Rachmana Patra, Avo Commanda Avad Le'em Rinon. One's a Babli, one's a Yerushalmi. The Gemara says, if you're under duress, it's not your fault, so you're not liable. But the Yerushalmi adds that you're not liable, but you don't get credit for the mitzvah. So I bought a new pair of tefillin, he says. He used to work for the MTA, and for many years he tried to get a better job. And he said, I gave him different papers and different approaches, and nothing worked. I wasn't able to get a better job and to move up in the line of the MTA. All of a sudden, I put on a new pair of tefillin. I stopped putting on my old tefillin. Every 6 months, I get a raise. Every 6 months, they give me a higher position. The Rebbe said, if your tefillin not kosher, there shouldn't be a problem with parnasa. I heard that line from him, and I used it in the future for many other people. And my shul was before Yud Shvat.
If there was no psul in the film, what was the psul?
I told him, you give me the tefillin, I will find it. He said, no, I'm not giving it to you. So, I don't know. Lepoil, ich weiß nicht. I believe we could find something, but he didn't trust me with it. I'm still working on it. Part B of the story, epilogue. Anyway, Lepoil, I had a story, I used this story which came to Nutz for me and many other people, this story. Because it was before Yud Shvat, a few days before Yud Shvat, a number of years ago already. And I was machlit, Yud Shvat is coming. I have to do something in honor, a little extra for the Rebbe. So in our Chabad house, our synagogue in downtown Brooklyn, we have the morning minyan. We also have a preschool there. So I decided I'm going to make an effort, an asserted effort to come out after davening, and that day, a few days before Yud Shvat, to pull a few guys in to put on tefillin. Even though we do it b'chlal generally, but I was going to go like mamish, yadek val yaver. So I go out of the shul, and the first guy who comes up the steps is 6'5", 350 pounds. His name is Henry, and I already tried in the past, asked him to put on tefillin. He tells me, Rabbi, I can't put on tefillin. I have 4 cell phones. I'm busy. I'm working all day and night. I have no time for this. I think he's never going to do it. But I made a resolution, achlata, I'm going to go into the hallways right after davening. I'm going to schlep the first guy I see to put on tefillin. So I walk over to him, I use this line and say, Henry, would you like to put on tefillin? It's a good omen to make a living. He goes, really? I'll try it. I didn't ask any questions. I pull him right into the shul. I roll up a sleeve. I whip out the tefillin. I wind the tefillin on his hand. I say, Shema Yisrael, Baruch Shem, Hareini Mekabelach, Sadiki, Muva Mashiach now. And we finish. It's a Tuesday morning. Wednesday he comes back looking for me. I say, Henry, what do you want? Tefillin? Okay. I whip out the tefillin. I roll up a sleeve. I wind the tefillin on his hand. Shema Yisrael, Baruch Shem, Hareini Mekabelach, Sadiki, Muva Mashiach now. Okay. Thursday, 11 o'clock, I'm already in my office on the 3rd floor in the brownstone. I don't like people to come up to my office. I go up on top. And my guard tells me, there's someone here waiting for you. I come downstairs. Henry, what do you want? Tefillin? Okay. I whip out the tefillin. I roll up a sleeve. I wind the tefillin on his hand. Now, Friday morning, he comes back to shul. He's bringing his own pair of tefillin. I say, Henry, what's this? He goes, Rabbi, do I have a story to tell you? I say, Henry, hold the story. I'm going to put on tefillin first. Because a guy like you will start talking, and talking will be Shabbos already. And I don't know what kind of tefillin you have. Maybe it's Mickey Mouse tefillin, chveis nish, kosher nish. We'll put on my tefillin, then we'll talk. So we whip out the tefillin, roll up a sleeve, one tefillin in his hand, Shema Yisrael, Baruch Shem, and Mikabel. Well, Mashiach now. Henry, what's your story? He says, Rabbi, look, I don't know if you know me, but I have a company, 150 employees. I used to have 250 employees. Now I only have 150 employees. I said, that's too bad. I'm sorry to hear that. He says, Rabbi, you know, over the last 3 weeks, 3 companies that I do work for went bust. Belly up. So what do? Well, I'm a programmer. I do, you know, computers, and I create special programs for large companies. And I'm out $3.5 million. I said, wow, $3.5 million, yeah. He says, Rabbi, I don't know if that's a lot of money for you, but for me, it's a lot of money. I said, for me, that's not a lot of money. But I understand where you're coming from. I said, in Brooklyn Heights today, to buy, a brownstone is like $7 billion, so it doesn't help me too much. But I understand where you're coming from. He says, Rabbi, I came in Tuesday morning, and I decided I'm going to send an email to all my employees saying Thursday is your last day. I was very broken. And I walk into the shul, I'm bringing my kids to the preschool, and you come to me like an angel from heaven, those were his words, and you tell me, put on tefillin, it's a good omen to make a living. I figured, what could I lose? I'll try it. So I put it on. I go to my office. I'm sitting in my office. I get a call from Denver, Colorado. They say to me, Henry, we need you to do a new program for us. He says, look, guys, Thursday I'm closing shop. I can't do any new programs. It's over. He says, look, Henry, tell us what you want. So I need $3.5 million. It's fine. Give me a second. I'll talk to the boss. He hears the conversation over the phone. He comes back. Henry, we can do it. No problem. He says, guys, don't play with me. I'm very brokenhearted. I'm very, very sensitive now. I need the money by Thursday. If you could do it, fine. If not, not. He says, yeah, we can do it. You'll have the money by Thursday. He hangs up the phone. He says, what did I do today that got me this deal? I never had a deal so quick. Oh, I put on film. I'll try it again tomorrow. So I came back Wednesday to you. I put on film again. I go back to my office. Wednesday, the contract is going back and forth on fax machines. You ever heard of fax machines? It was a thing years ago. So he says, in one day, Wednesday evening, I signed the contract. Normally, it takes my lawyers 2 weeks at least to do a contract. Every I was dotted, every T was crossed. I said to myself, what did I do today that happened so fast? I put on film. I'll try it again tomorrow. I came back to you Thursday. I put on film again. Went back to my office. I'm sitting on my desk. I type in my computer, my bank account, which is in San Francisco, and all the money is sitting in the bank. I get up from my desk. I walk downstairs onto Fifth Avenue. I lie down on the floor. I lift up my hands. I say, God, thank you. And ever since then, he never gave me a nickel. But the miracle of the story is, he did come to me Friday night with his family.
Do you have his phone number?
The entire family became frum. The wife put on a sheitel. And they became too religious for me. I didn't have a long enough beard for them. So they moved to a very religious neighborhood. And Baruch Hashem should continue to give them brachas. This is the power of tefillin. I have a book called Guardian of Israel. I have many stuff, about 60 stories there. You can read it. I'll tell you one more story. This is a very nice story because it shows you the importance of being mahader. Not only to have kosher tefillin, but to be mahader in tefillin. You know, as Jews, we're always trying to Jew down the price. You know, what? Rabbi, is a mezuzah kosher for $15? Why do I have to spend $500 on a mezuzah, Rabbi? I said, I have a question to ask you. The car you're driving, can you get one for $15? Yeah. So why do you spend $500? Because it's nicer. So you should get a nicer mezuzah also. Okay. So this is the story. A sefer in Australia had a Yid come into his store, into his shop, and he said, I'm moving into a new condo. I need mezuzahs. I have X amount of rooms. What is it going to cost me? He says, well, for good mezuzahs, it will cost you $650. However, if you want to get nicer mezuzahs, more mehuder, it's going to cost you $810 for the whole apartment. He says, what's the difference? He says, one is, better than the other. What should I do? He says, ask your rabbi. Okay. So he asks his rabbi, what should I do? The rabbi says, look, the Eibishter Breit Mishkim Balchoiv, God does not remain in debt. And therefore, you should get the better one. He gets the better mezuzahs. 2 weeks later, he calls the sefer. He says, sefer, I have to tell you something. I left your store. I went to an auction. At that auction, I was selling my old condo. When I came there, the auctioneer told me probably you'll be able to sell it for about $650, $650,000. At the end of the day, I sold my condo for $810,000. For every dollar more I spent on the mezuzahs, Hashem blessed me back 1,000 times. It's a very important story because it shows you when you do a mitzvah with hidur, when you do a mitzvah out of love, Hashem blamish came b'choiv. It says one of the reasons that Arizal was zeicha to have Ruach HaKodesh was because of the fact he never handled when it came to a mitzvah. When it came to a mitzvah, the sukkah calls this, fine, he paid it. The esrog calls this, he paid it. The matzah calls this, he paid it. He didn't start saying, maybe I get a cheaper one, maybe you could do a little better on the deal. When it came to a mitzvah he never handled, that is the reason why he was zeicha to Ruach HaKodesh. I had a sefer once come to me. I said, your sefer told me a story. He said, I had a bacher, an elder bacher in Eretz Yisrael. He wasn't getting married. So he decided to check his tefillin. I opened up his tefillin, he said, and it read as follows: V'ha'aretz loy chitein es yevula. Instead of saying Va'aretz loy chitein es yevula, the land will not give forth its produce, it said, and the land will not chitein, will not make you a chassan. The little dot at the end of the tuf was missing, and it was a ches. And he said he fixed his tefillin, he bought new parshas, and a month later became a chassan. I told the story out of Farbrengen once, and the Lubavitcher boy walked over to me. He said I had the same problem. I wasn't becoming a chassan, and he said I checked my tefillin, and the word yevula, he says, had a crack in it, and I fixed it, and he became a chassan also shortly after that. I had a balabas in my shul, also a similar story. He and his wife were going to Brooklyn Law School, and we were makadev them, became Bal Tshuva. We came to his chasana, I did the wedding for him. And he was putting on tefillin every day. Unbeknownst to me, he wanted to have a child, and he was trying to get his wife pregnant, and there's no mazel. On the contrary, she had a miscarriage, and she wasn't conceiving. So I found out the story years later. I said to myself, my rabbi always says I should check my tefillin, so I'm going to check my tefillin. He didn't tell me. He didn't ask me what to do. He did it on his own. So he went to the sefer. The sefer opened the tefillin, and he saw on the first parasha it said, Kaddish li kol b'chor. And then it goes on to say, B'vnei Yisrael, amongst the children of Israel. The sefer said the nun of b'nei, of children, has a crack in it. So what's the halacha? If it has a crack in it, he says, it's called a she'elis tinuk. You have to ask a child if he can read it. Because tefillin has to be written kisidra. In other words, if there's a mistake in the tefillin, if a letter is missing, you can't put the letter in later, because then you didn't write it in order. A sefer Torah, you can get 25 seferim to write at the same time, you sew it together. There are 248 columns. It's not a problem. Get 248 seferim to write it, then you sew it together. But tefillin has to be Kesidra. So first you have to write Kaddish, and then V'hai Kiviyacha, and then Shema, and then V'hai Mishemaya. You can't write it in reverse. It's not kosher. So if a letter is missing or a letter is puzzle and you fix it later, it's Shaloi Kesidra. It's not kosher. So the halach is, if the letter is intact, it's just that it's a little crack, if a child can read it, it's really the letter, you can fix it. So he calls up this guy. He says, I opened up your tefillin, and the word b'nei, children, have a crack in the noon. So the halach is, I have to ask a child. He says, so what are you waiting for? Ask a child. So they went, and they called in a child off the street, and now the Rebbe writes in Shulchan Aruch, they should get a child who's not too smart, not too dumb. That's the one you should choose. What's the pshat? Because if he's dumb, he can't even read the letters. If he's too smart, he can read the whole word, and therefore chap what the letter is. So therefore you get a guy, what it means really is a child who can only read letters but can't read words. They called in a child and they read the word b'nei, the nun. Says, yeah, it's a nun. He called back my balabas and said, I can fix it. He fixed it, put it back into the tefillin, and Kanara, 9 months later, they gave birth to the first child, and a year later to the second child. And this is only a little crack, a shelas tinuk, to ask a child, and now you have a child. A little crack in the letter. If they would ask the child, you say, okay, I can't read it, and they fixed it, it wouldn't work. So here you see, even a little crack in a letter has the ability to impact worlds. And that's why we got to check our tefillin every year. The Rebbe said, even though it's true, it's brought down in Svarim twice in 7 years, like was asked before, the Rebbe said today the ink is not as good. And even though there are some Seifrim that write with better ink, improved ink, but the majority still don't. And that's what the Rebbe said, I think, on a political note. And of course it's true what he said, but I feel that it's also us. The Rebbe was kind, he didn't want to say it, but the tefillin is really a mirror of who we are. If we're not doing what we have to do, we also affect our tefillin. And therefore, we're not tzaddikim, achsidim like they were in the time of the Rebbe Rashab and the Rebbe Marash and the Tzemach Tzedek. We're Heilig Yidden. We were simple people. So we got to check our tefillin more often. We need the additional Yeshua and the support and the blessing, etc., etc. So this is one of the minhagim that we have to do for Elul. And the Rebbe said you should be mefasim this. And by doing so, this will bring you brachis and parnasa. Will bring you bane and chaye and zoini, revichi, kol revichi. And to be written for aksivach sim teva, shem teva musuka, begashus beruchlis, l'chaim. Ksiva bachasim teva, lishan teva musuka. Ksiva bachasim.
Check my Tefillin. The Ritzua was cut a little bit. I didn't know that Ritzua had it. By the way, I got a new one. This happened to me last week. Guy in your neighborhood, he has a house in Muncie. His father or mother passed away 5-6 years ago. Forgot his name. He used to eat with him. He's an older guy. What's his name?
Russian guy? A Russian guy? A Russian guy?
No, it's American. He's very smart.
So live by me. So live by me.
He's in your neighborhood.
He's now my neighbor, or used to be my neighbor?
He has a house there, a house in Muncie. His parents died, and he has his house in Muncie. Forget his name.
Hey ay 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 my lady dam my lady lady dam hey ay 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 hi ay 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 my lady dam ay na my ay lady dam ay na dam hey ay 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 dam ha my ay ay hey ay 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 dam hey ay 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 ha
למי אפשר לתת את התפילין לבדיקה? אני רק הגעתי
The guy in the neighborhood, his name is Daniel Dahan, is very good. Excellent. Excellent. Hey, excellent.
Why are we still lacking Mashiach?
Huh?
Why are we still lacking Mashiach?
I'm going to talk about Mashiach right now.
Special for you.
Okay, in your honor, we'll tell you two stories. Maybe a third. Chaim, Rebbe, Chaim.
Give him like a man.
Chaim, you gotta say L'chaim. It's a very personal thing. I was talking to a friend of mine, Stam. He told me that years ago, the Rebbe called over his father. He took a quart for washing. He filled it up with Benedictine. The Rebbe called over a bacher. The Rebbe called over a bacher, and he told his assistant, whoever was over there, he had a few, whatever, fill it up with Benedictine to the top. Benedictine, between Benedictine and Chabad, it's kosher.
What is that? That's liquor.
It's a good liquor. It's a good liquor. I'm surprised you don't have it over here. Okay, maybe not entirely Chabad over here. Maybe it's Chagas over here.
The Rebbe
Huh?
never drank it. Then the Chassidim got verfrumt. Okay, they had to take away the little bit of joy that they ever had.
He's right. Anyway, so the Rebbe told this guy to drink the whole thing down. That's the story. I'm all that from drinking a bit of l'chaim. That's the point. Anyway, the story is like this. I heard the story from someone, and I called Rabbi Groner to ask him the pratim. He verified the story for me, mamish. The story is that in the early years, the 1950s, the Tafshin Yuds, the Rebbe lived that time in an apartment on President and New York Avenue. And the Rebbe walked into the apartment house himself, and there was a gentleman in the lobby. The man was a frumid, no beard, a businessman. And it seems from the story he did not know that this gentleman was the Rebbe. He saw a rabbi walking. The Rebbe was very, gentleman-like and very cordial and very proper. And the Rebbe walked over. Shalom Aleichem, how are you? What do you do? And the man said, I do work in Nicaragua. So the Rebbe said to him, Sfarana mikveh Nicaragua? Is there a mikveh there? He says, I don't think so. So the Rebbe says, maybe you should see to it to build a mikveh there. He thanked the Rebbe for the suggestion. And they parted their ways. About 30 years later, in the 80s, the Rebbe is giving out dollars now every Sunday. And this fellow comes to New York. He's passing through from Nicaragua. And already now the Rebbe's fame became worldwide, and his dollars became very, very precious. I have people coming and calling me every day, Rabbi, give me $1. I'll give you all the money you want. They hold all the money. I'm not selling it. It's priceless. I'm not giving you $1 away. And he goes online. He comes by the Rebbe, and the Rebbe looks at him and says, "No, Sferana mikveh Nicaragua." The guy goes out of his kelim. First, he's embarrassed. Now he chapped that this was the Rebbe. Number two, he didn't build a mikveh yet. He says, no, and he moves on. This Chaver man, that's only the half of the story. I actually told the story to a Gera Chassid. He only heard the first part, didn't hear the second part. That's only the first part of the story. This guy was a Gera Chassid. He goes back to Eretz Yisrael. I think it was the base Yisrael, that time was the Rebbe. And he tells him, ich bin bei der Lubavitcher Rebbe in New York, and I have a shaila on the Rebbe. The Rebbe Pashut made a stira in the Torah. What's the stira? It says in the Torah that Yosef had tzaddik. When his brothers came down to see him, he recognized them. But they didn't recognize him. Why? Says Rashi, because Yosef, when he left, had no beard. Now he had a beard. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, the first time he met me, I had no beard. Now I have a beard. How does he recognize me? That was the shaila that he asked the Gera Rebbe. So listen what the Gera Rebbe said. I'm going to say his words, and then I'll elaborate. He said, "Ba'inv kikim min after neshama." By us Rebbes, we look at the neshama. It's not a big deal. However, what is remarkable is durchgegangen na so viel Jahren. So many years already passed. Und was fragt Lubavitcher Rebbe in Brooklyn wegen a mikveh Nicaragua? What is Lubavitcher Rebbe in Brooklyn worried about a mikveh Nicaragua? So many years went by, and he has so many problems that he has to deal with his own community, and he's worried about a mikveh in Nicaragua. When I say the story, I marvel on the fact of how a Rebbe looks at things and how a Chassid looks at things. A Chassid, we get excited. Wow, the Rebbe had total recall. He saw a guy 30 years ago, he remembered him, he remembered what he said, he continued the conversation. The Rebbe was brilliant, he was a Navi, he was a prophet. How does a Rebbe look at a Rebbe? What? Durchgegangen na so viel Jahren, was trachtet wegen einem Mikveh Nicaragua. Another Rebbe is not in the spall about the Ruach HaKodesh. I have also Ruach HaKodesh, big deal, it's about Torah. What I am in the spall about is the fact, the Ahavas Yisrael of the Rebbe. The Rebbe has enough things to do in his own community. He's busy 24/7. He has to worry about someone who doesn't pay membership in another community he's not responsible for. He has a mikveh there. That's what the Gera Rebbe was in sport about the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So we have to remember that that's the meaning of a chassid. That's trachten wegen nach a Yid. Think before Rosh Hashanah, sit down and say, is there anybody I slighted, I perhaps made feel uncomfortable? Did I promise someone something, I didn't do it? Or something did I call my mother? Did I call my brother? Did I call my sister? Did I call my children? Maybe there's somebody who I know needs a favor. Maybe I could do something for the new year. Mikveh Nicaragua. That's what you got to think about. That's number one. The second story is like this. I called up my uncle, Rabbi Sholem Hecht, Gimel Tammuz, a number of years ago. He's in the neighborhood. I said to Uncle Sholem, I said, Zog me a meise from Rebbe, tell me a story of the Rebbe. He was able to go into the Rebbe whenever he wanted. He goes, I have no stories, I don't remember. I said, Zog me a story, a meise, today's Gimel Tammuz. He says, you know what, somebody just came into my store, right now. And he told me a story. I said, fine, let me hear the story. This is the story. He says, in the early years, must have been around Tavshin, Tezvav, Tezayin. We know the Rebbe went 3 times to Camp Gan Yisrael to visit. Everybody here knows, I'm sure, the Rebbe never took vacation. And 3 times he left New York was to go to visit the boys and girls in the camp. He went to the Gan Yisrael, went to Camp Amunah, and he came back the same day. And supposedly the 3rd time there was an accident, and the Rebbe waited 2 hours till they cleaned things up, and he said those 2 hours he never regained. those 2 hours that he lost, he never made up. And he stopped going. He never went again to camp after that. The Chagav, someone once wrote an article about the Rebbe. The Rebbe, every detail is oriented, and the Rebbe, every second counts. Every second is calculated. The Rebbe crossed it out and wrote every minute is calculated. The story is that the Rebbe was in camp, and this is what this fellow told my uncle. He's a fellow who's a musmach from Torah V'das. You want me to leave? Okay, I can leave.
After the story.
Okay, not a problem. I don't get paid by the hour. I get paid by the show. So
Continue, it's good.
So this is a story. So the Rebbe was walking on the campgrounds, and he sees a bacher. He calls him over. Says, "Was ist dein Namen?"
What's your name?
What's your name? The boy says, "Shmuel." Says the Rebbe, "Sag mir die ganze Namen." He says, "Meir Shmuel." At that moment, the Rebbe stopped, and he turned to the director of camp and said, "Nu, nicht allemal haben wir das Chus zu haben Mishpachas Mashiach." Not always do we have the honor of having the family of Mashiach with us. So the director said he had no idea what the Rebbe was talking about. So the Rebbe turned to the boy and said, "Sag mir the Tate's Namen." He said, "The Tate is Chaim Yankel." So the Rebbe says, "Nu, ois yes Mashiach. Shmuel, Meir Shmuel is Memshin, and Yankel is Yud, and Chaim is Ches. Ois yes Mashiach." That's the story. 30 years later, he says, I went by the Rebbe for dollars. I was a kid that time. He says, it must have been 7, 8 years old. He went back in the 80s for dollars. He goes by the Rebbe, and the Rebbe says, "Nu, was machst du, Rabbi Yankel? Was machst du, Rabbi Shmuel? Was macht dein Tate, Rabbi Yankel?" How do you analyze this story? Chosa says again, wow, the Rebbe, he knew the name of the kid before the kid came over. He knew the kid's father's name before he said his father's name. He knew already the letters out of Mashiach. Wow, amazing. And 30 years later, remember the guy again. Very nice. What are we supposed to learn from the story? The answer is very simple. The Rebbe lived every moment with Mashiach. Everything he saw in the world, he was looking for the Mashiach spark in that reality. That was the Rebbe. And the lesson for us is we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing to bring Mashiach? We have to ask ourselves, where is Mashiach? And we have to see Mashiach in every aspect of life. The Rebbe said, Goyla plus an Aleph is Gula. In Goyla, you have Gula. You got to find the Aleph. You have to reveal the Aleph. And Goyla is so great, is so high, that you have such high sparks that only through Goyla are you going to have Gula. Geula. But it has to be Goyla. Through Goyla, you have Geula. You read the Tzerech Aliyah. In other words, every time you see a cookie, you make a bracha, you have to see the spark of Mashiach in the cookie. The Rebbe used to say that, what's a kosher animal? A kosher animal has split hoofs. What does split hoofs mean? That in between the hoofs you see the sun. When a person is doing a ma'aser b'poel, as we said earlier, v'samta batena, you got to put it into the basket. Even when you're dealing with a physical thing, business and money and people and action and painting and building, etc., you have to see a lukus. I tell my children, I tell my congregants, if you don't see God in the deal, don't do the deal. The Rebbe always said when it comes to business, you have to be careful not to hurt another person's feelings, not to chas v'shalom slide another person. If you don't see a lukus in the deal, it's not a good deal. If you think you're going to outsmart the other person and steal the house from him, and you were the smartest one, and you chopped it from him, and now the guy has nothing, and you squeeze him like a lemon, that's not a good deal. It has to be a win-win situation. You have to see a lukus in the deal.
But we cannot.
You could. See, you cannot, that's the nachash. You cannot. Of course you could. There's enough money, there's unlimited wealth in the world. You could have and he could have, you could both be happy. You don't have to be happy only if he's sad. That's Pashut Gaiva, and that's narcissism. That's not Judaism. It's a false reality. So the Rebbe comes along and he says, you have to see Elokus, you have to see Mashiach in everything that you do. It's a similar story that when the Rebbe went to camp that time. So he went to every bunk, he looked at every detail. And they had a room, a bunk, that was set aside for the arts and crafts room. And the Bachrim didn't prepare it and clean it up in time. There's a lot of paint and glue and all these mishigas over there. So they figured that they'll chap an eitzah. On the roof of the bunk, they wrote Zecher L'Churban. So the Rebbe will walk in, he'll see it's Zecher L'Churban. So the Rebbe walks in, they were hoping, they were trying to get the Rebbe not to go into that bunk, go this way, the Rebbe goes, and here, like 3 times, the Rebbe said, I want to go in here. The Rebbe went in, and right away he saw the situation, he looked up and he said, Zecher L'Churban, Zecher L'Migdosh. There are 2 ways of looking at everything. It could be a Zecher L'Churban, a remembrance of the destruction, and it could be a remembrance of the rebuilding. How does the Rebbe tell us to pravet Tisha B'Av? How are we supposed to celebrate Tisha B'Av? Kara, like Moed, it's a holiday, and yet there's Tisha B'Av, a Churban. The Rebbe changed the whole paradigm. He says the emotion on Tisha B'Av should be, how come Mashiach is not here already? I'm crying, I have to cry. One who cries on the Churban will see the rebuilding. I have to cry. But what am I crying? I'm crying over spilled milk. I'm crying Zecher L'Churban that the Beis Mikdash was destroyed. No. I'm crying that I know it's supposed to be built already. No, where is he already? Who is it? That should be the crying. It's the same crying. It's the same Beis Mikdash. One is the past, one is the future. One is reactive, one is proactive. I remember as a kid, when I was in Gan Yisrael all the years, I knew it was visiting day. Visiting day started like 11 o'clock. I was up that morning, 7 o'clock, running to the road, looking for my parents. Where are they ready? It's 7 o'clock. Today's visiting day. I don't care, it starts at 11 o'clock, they're supposed to be here. 7:30, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Where are they? If you believe Mashiach is coming, you have to be waiting. Where is he already? And you have to be crying, no, I'm waiting for you. How come you're not here? I have to see Mashiach. I got to do whatever I can to bring Mashiach. Lahavi l'moisam Mashiach, the Rebbe says. Not l'rabbis, lahavi. You have to do whatever you can to do it. I'll tell you one last story, because you guys got to get early in the morning tomorrow. By Farbrengen, they say in the early years, by Farbrengen, the Rebbe Farbrengen till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. He used to tell the malamdim, the teachers, like around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, go home and go to sleep. You have to get up early, you got to teach students tomorrow. They're working tomorrow. My father says that Rabbanim don't work. Only he works. Rabbis don't work. What do you work? You daven, you learn, they don't work. Okay. It's a beautiful story that happened in my community a number of years ago. About 25 years to be exact. The story was that, I'll use his name because he gave me permission to use his name. I have a balabas by me, and Kanahara, his daughter, Mitch, is getting married very soon. His name is Mitch. And he came into my shul during the Gulf War, when there was Scud missiles aimed on Israel. He was very upset about it, and he had to do something, but he wanted to change his life. And his wife said, go down the block, there's a new synagogue that opened up, go to the rabbi there. Yeah, and he came, Baruch Hashem, and now he puts on a beard tam every day, and his kid puts on a beard tam every day, and his son has a beard, from Baruch Hashem. So, 25 years ago, my wife was about to give birth to my second child. It was a Thursday night in Brooklyn Heights, and down the block from, a few blocks away from Long Island College Hospital, Litch, which is no longer really there today. But Baruch Hashem, it served its purpose. All my 6 kids were born there. Now I don't need the hospital anymore, I guess. My 8 o'clock will have to go somewhere else. I have Baruch Hashem 1 kid, Kanahara. Kehena v'chehena v'chulu v'chulu. Anyway, bekitzer, so I call Mitch up Thursday night. I say, Mitch, do me a favor. My wife is about to give birth. She has, labor pains. Do you mind coming over and keep an eye on my first son, who was a year old that time, Yankel? I said, he sleeps through the night, don't worry. You can come here, you read a book, whatever you want. He's not going to bother you. I just need someone to be in the house. It's not a problem. Anyway, I go to the hospital, my wife, and Baruch Hashem, every child, she does the same thing. She checks out the hospital and goes home. She never likes to go the first time right away into labor. She'll check it out, sit down, hook up with the machine, she goes home. She wants to make sure she has a room over there, then she comes home. Even like the last baby, Kanara, what happened was, interestingly, I'll give you an example. We went to the hospital, it was a Chav Tevis. Okay, I told my wife, I said, Shterni, it's perfect night to have a baby. It's Chav Tevis, the Elul of the Rambam. We have a name, no problem. So what do you mean, you're going to call him Moshe? I said, no, I'm going to call him Rambam. Are you crazy? I said, what do you mean? Moshe, so many Moshes, Rambam will be unique. He says, get me out of the hospital right now. And she pulled off the things and she walked out of the hospital. That was a story, a true story. So we came back 4 days later, Chav Dalid, we called him Shnei Zalman. Chav Dalid Tevis. I'm for the Chabad, I have to the Poil. So we went that night to the hospital, Thursday night, and then it was a false alarm, we came back home. Friday night, after the Suda, after all the guests leave, like 12 o'clock at night, my wife says, oh, now it's for real. And now it's for real, thank you very much. What am I supposed to do now? It's for real. Shabbos, this. So I run down, that time we lived on the 6th floor, I ran down 6 flights, and I run down Skirmorn Street, 12 o'clock at night in the month of Shvat. It's a cold night, nice brisk wind. And I run over to this brownstone where Mitch is living on the 2nd floor. And I cut my hands together like this. I say, Mitch, get up. The head garnished. He's sleeping. He's charapping, Baruch Hashem. He's sleeping. He had the good gefilte fish and a few l'chaim. He's out. I'm screaming, Mitch, get up. His wife hears me. She gives me, Mitch, get up. The rabbi is here. The rabbi is outside. Mitch says, buzz him in. He says, Mitch, it's Shabbos. I can't buzz him in. Okay, I'll get up. He gets up. With his eyes like half up. Rabbi, what do you want? I said, Mitch, it's the real thing. He says, what? Mashiach is coming. This is an unbelievable story. It's a story that we have to aspire to, and it's a story that we have to ask ourselves, Taka, why are we not there? This is a Yid who a few months earlier started to learn Aleph Beis. I wake him up in the middle of the night. He says, ring the doorbell. Buzz him in on Shabbos. The moment I say to him, it's the real thing, there's only one thing that comes to his mind. Amunah Pshuta, the real thing can only be one thing. The real thing is Mashiach. And that is the real question that I'm going to leave you here tonight with. And that is, if I wake you up in the middle of the night, and I say, it's the real thing, are you going to say, I won the lotto? It's the real thing. What's the real thing? Mashiach is here. If you're going to say the real thing, Mashiach is here, then you know you're living with Mashiach. If you're going to say something else, you're not living with Mashiach. The Rebbe put koiches into us, every Farbrengen, every talk. Mashiach is coming. When the Rebbe said that the Gulf War be over by Purim, we believed him. When the Rebbe said the Iron Curtain is going down and you're going to have so many Jews going to Eretz Yisrael, start building, before anybody knew about it, it happened. By the last hurricane in Miami, after the stroke already, they asked the Rebbe, should they evacuate or not? And the Rebbe said no. And the Rebbe went with his hand like this. He trusted him. And now, when it came to something that Rebbe said publicly, over and over and over and over again, and it was printed, Ludoidis, that At Kut Mashiach, we really begin to question. This is something we have to ask ourselves over and over again. And when we say Moedani in the morning, we have to ask ourselves, Nu, Ayeka, where are we? Are we ready? L'kabel Panei Mashiach Tzidkeinu. So L'chaim, we hope and pray that already before Tov Shnai Ches, when the Melech already is Basada, he's already here, he should be in his Gala and take us out of Golos and give us everything we need, Begashis, Beruchlius, and V'hochu Goyim L'oidech, and all the nations of this world will come and follow. Take of Miyad Mamish, L'chaim. Sheboneh Beis Hamikdash Meira V'Yameinu V'Dein L'Ogeinu V'Dein Azecha Sheba Hamikdash Meira V'Yameinu V'Dein L'Ogeinu V'Dein Azecha Hey Sheboneh Beis Hamikdash Meira V'Yameinu V'Dein L'Ogeinu Good to see you, long time no see. Hey Rabbi Yameinu V'Dein L'Ogeinu V'Dein Azecha Sheboneh Beis Hamikdash Meira V'Yameinu V'Dein L'Ogeinu Sheboneh Beis Hamikdash Meira V'Yameinu V'Sein Chalkeinu V'Sayir Azecha